Hey everyone, this is Lucas, the creator of Adam's Lost Journal. I would like everyone, if they have the time, to stay after the episode is over just for an important announcement involving Season 2 and everything moving forward. Thank you guys, and enjoy the episode.
Daod! Honey, are you there? Please answer me. Daod!
Daod woke to a darkened room, his dagger drawn. The voice had startled him, and it took the man a moment to realize it belonged to his wife. But something was wrong. It was distorted, muffled. Lilith, what is it? He asked out into the dark. A moment passed before her voice responded.
Daod! The stone!
The man knew in that moment something must have happened on the road. If his wife was using the stone to contact him, then it must be serious. He sheathed his dagger, opened the drawer, and took from it a stone that speaks. The runes carved on its surface emitted a magical orange glow when he spoke through it. Lilith, what has happened? Are you okay?
No, gods help me. Daod! It got me. The slip, it opened up on the road. It swallowed the whole carriage. I was almost home. I could see the lights of our village. Daod, I am so scared. I am in the dead garden.
Daod sank to his knees and covered his mouth in shock. No.
Daod, please get me out of here. Please come save me.
Daod had not hesitated. Not for one moment. Even despite the knowledge that no known soul had returned from the garden, the man refused to give up on his wife. He would never let her go. He would bring her back. Or he would die trying. Arming and supplying himself was the easy part. He had everything he needed in his home. The hard part was convincing the others to let him go. When his friends found out what he was planning, they tried to keep him from going. They tried to convince him that it was foolish. What happened to his wife was tragic, but losing them both would be devastating. Daod assured them that he would travel into the garden, find his wife, and a means of returning. Whenever the man set his mind to something, he made it happen. But could he pull off the impossible? Days had passed as Daod searched the lands around his village, watching and waiting for a sliver of gray light, the indication that the slip would be opening soon. His friends watched him from a distance. They spoke in hushed whispers. They contemplated a difficult decision. They spoke to the mage of the village. She was reluctant to do what they asked of her. But in the end, she had made up her mind. Daod sat on the cold stone that rested in the middle of the wind-whipped field. His icy blue eyes stared ahead, waiting for the flicker of light. The man had been so focused, he had not heard the others approaching from behind.
Daod?
The man turned. His friends were there. So was the mage. It was she who spoke. Taurus. Daod returned the greeting, but then he noticed the wand at her side. Her fingers tightly grasped the leather handle of the curved rib bone. From the carvings came a faint blue glow. She was readying a spell. Why do you arm yourself against me? Daod's eyes drifted over to his friends. What have you planned behind my back? Lef, Kaju, Ilya, and Mac stood silently. Their expressions were pained. but resolute.
I am so sorry, Daod. You will never know the pain we saved you from. I assure you.
Daod drew his blade as Taurus pointed her wand at him. But before either could act, a flash of gray in between their vision caught them all off guard as the slip enveloped the entire group. The air was cold, stale, heavy, thick, filled with the scent of rot, and a flavor lingered on the tongue that was most unwelcome. Daod stared up into the black sky. He watched as the ash fell from the dark clouds above. The dead garden. I am here. I am coming, Lilith. Daod whispered to himself before slowly standing up. The man took a good long look at the world around him. The dead garden. An empty, vile place. Every tree, every plant, dead. The land was empty. The soil was pale. The stones were blood red. There was nothing here. And somewhere in this nothing was his wife. Daod fumbled in his pocket for a moment before drawing a stone that speaks out and held it up to his mouth. Lilith, can you still hear me?
Daod, did it work? Are you here?
I am.
Oh, thank the gods of the blue and green.
This place. It is wrong. Everything here, it is all wrong. I feel like I'm being watched.
There are things out there, Daod. I have seen them in the sky. Their great feathery wings dip below the black clouds. I hear them at night. They creep beyond the walls of stone. They are in my dreams whilst I slumber. Every time I shut my eyes, I've had to fell many of them with my blade. They are relentless. Daod, where are you?
Never mind where I am. Where are you? Describe your surroundings. Any noticeable landmarks? Anything obvious that stands out? There is no forest. The land is barren, so it should be easy to find you.
I took shelter in some kind of ruin. It looks like it used to be a church. I did not know there were buildings in this place. In all the stories, there was never any mention of humans that once dwelled here.
Stay where you are. I am coming. And I am not coming alone. Daod slid the stone back into his pocket and turned to face the group approaching him. Unfortunately, it appeared that the slip had taken his friends as well, and the mage. Well, shit.
A most unfortunate turn of events.
Taurus groaned in frustration across the distance between them.
It appears we are all trapped in this place. Hopefully not forever.
Daod slowly shook his head. You would not be here, were it not for your meddling. He spoke to the others. Lef stepped forward.
What would you have had us do? We tried to offer you aid and you turned our hand away. Daod, you are our friend. We could not stand to watch you throw your life away.
So you turned to spells? Tell me, what would you have cast upon me, Taurus? What did they ask you to do? Taurus shifted uncomfortably and nervously ran her hand along her long blonde braid. Your memory. We told her to alter your memory, Kaju admitted to Daod. Memory? Of what, may I ask? The silence between them spoke volumes, and Daod's guess was accurate. My wife. You were going to take my wife away from me? Were you not? You were going to rip her away from my mind, to empty my head like a well run dry. I did not want to see it done. None of us did, Lef told his friend. We could not conjure up any other solution. You would have fought every other outcome. With blade, fist, teeth, and heart, you would have fought. At least with this, you would have never known. You would live, oblivious, yes, but you would live. We would be the ones burdened with that knowledge. We would carry that in our hearts. For you. Daod just stared at his friends for a long moment. What a monstrous plan. I do not wish to give this any more thought. Not right now. I must find my wife. If we work together, then maybe we can find our way out of this realm of death. What say you? Everyone slowly nodded in agreement. We are with you, Daod. We are still your friends, no matter what you may think. Lef's eyes filled with shame and fear, uncertainty. The group of heroes had walked through the soiled realm for many miles, through a land choked with ash and the stink of decay. Few words were spoken during their trek, and none to Daod. For what would they say? What could they say to the man they had planned to betray? Even if they had good intentions, they would have robbed their friend of all the joys in his life. The one thing that gave his life meaning, so they could keep him home, shackled in an invisible prison. One he would have no memory of. During the walk, Daod had pulled the stone from his pocket when his wife's voice came through. They spoke briefly. She had complained of feeling sick, most likely due to being forced to drink from the church's well filled with tainted waters. Even after purifying it, she could not keep the water down. The food she had found around her, also rotten. She had used up everything she had bought from the neighboring town's market. Daod tried to keep Lilith's spirits up. Just wait a little bit longer. I'm almost there. He knew he would see the ruins soon. The church's steeple would be the highest point, like a beacon in this dreaded and empty landscape. The thing he worried for the most was an encounter with the denizens of this land. These creatures Lilith spoke of. He knew she could defend herself. She was a capable fighter. He had trained her himself. She had picked it up so quickly, as if she already knew some of the steps, much to his surprise. But in her current state, could she still do so? Would she look like she did when they first met? When he saved her from the woods he found her in, barely clinging to life. Just a little bit longer, my love. Please wait. Just a little bit longer. Daod and the others came upon a lonely black stream, coursing through the land like the necrotic veins of a dead being. They had waded across it, but as they reached the other side, a voice startled everyone.
Rah! Others! Walkers! It has been much too long since those of the living have made their way across these lands.
A confused Daod's eyes scanned around until he realized the voice was coming from the raven, perched on the dead and bleached white branch of a fallen nearby tree. You speak?
Rah! As well as you. What brings you here?
I am searching for a woman, my wife. She was wearing a crimson cloak and has long, dark hair. Raven dark as your feathers.
Rah! Which one?
What do you mean?
Which woman? There were two.
Daod's brow furrowed. What do you mean, two?
There were two women, both the same. Which one do you seek?
Lilith. She goes by the name Lilith.
Lilith, yes. She was by the church, surrounded by the graves of old. It has been many years. Perhaps she is still there.
Years? Daod turned and faced his companions. Lef and Taurus shrugged and exchanged looks. What do you mean, years? I just spoke with her.
Maybe you did. Time. It works differently here. Maybe the other one will know.
Who is this other one you speak of?
Her daughter. Your daughter.
Daod's face went pale. She was pregnant? But how? How did I not know? How did such a thing slip my mind? Daod thought back. Were there any signs he missed? Had she used the excuse to travel to find a healer? No. She would not have done so without her husband's counsel. Without saying something. She did not know. Daod whispered to himself before the raven launched itself into the air. As it flew away, it croaked back once more.
Congratulations! Lindala always wanted to meet her father. She has been waiting for so long.
The blood-red sun had begun to set as they crossed over the hill that blocked their view of the ruins. The last light almost seemed to melt into the horizon and plunge the land into total darkness. That is, until the moon began to rise, just as red as its counterpart. The group was forced to stick together even closer, within the range of the mage's spell. The bright blue orb of magical light kept the creeping black away from them. But beyond the borders of it came the glowing eyes of things. Things in the dark. Patient things. Just waiting for a chance to strike. There, up ahead, Kaju told the others with a pointing hand. There's the church. Daod could not keep the smile from his face when he saw it. The blood moon exposed the building hiding in the shadows, its silhouette black as the world around it, only visible from the moon that rose up from behind. The group rushed with Daod across the uneven terrain, crossing exposed roots, broken headstones, and the bones of animals and people. "Lilith!" Daod called out as he reached the door. The man barely had to push before the rotten wood gave way, and he forced himself through. The interior was cast in shadow, the air stale and dank. There was no sign of anyone inside. "Lilith, it is me. I am here. Where are you?" The man frantically searched every corner of the main hall before heading into one of the back rooms, where he found evidence of life. An old and musty bedroll, a small collection of books, their pages faded, her journal, several candles, the wax spilled and stuck to the floor, remnants of food, old blood stains, several homemade weapons, bows, arrows, spears. Daod removed the stone from his pocket again. "Lilith, where are you? We are here."
Oh, thank the gods! Thank the blue and green! Where are you?
The relief in her voice was obvious. "We are in the church right now. Where did you go?"
You are?
There was a brief pause.
But I am in the church.
"What? Where then?"
In the back room.
"That is where we are."
Are you in the right church? Maybe there's a different one."
"No, honey. I am here. I found your journal, the one you were always writing in. The one with the golden leaf on the front." Moments passed as Daod waited in silence with the others.
I do not understand. Where are you then if you are not here? But you are here."
Daod thought for a moment, racking his brain for an answer. Some kind of explanation.
"The raven."
Taurus whispered to herself and stepped forward. She placed her hand on Daod's shoulder.
"The raven. It said, time works differently here."
Daod thought to himself for a moment, and then slowly put the stone to his lips again. "Honey, what time is it for you? Does the sun still hang in the sky?"
"Yes."
Daod sat back and chewed on the side of his mouth for a moment. "Are we in the wrong time?" Daod turned to ask Taurus. The maid shrugged and walked over to the window. She gazed out into the black.
"Wrong time, wrong place."
Lef walked over to the collection of Lilith's things spilled out onto the floor and began to sift through them. She has clearly been here, though. Looks like for a while. Maybe this is the future for her. That raven. It did mention that she had given birth to a daughter. "Lilith. Honey. Are you with child?"
"What? I... How do you know this?"
Daod huffed in disbelief. "So, it is true then. When did you find out?"
"Only minutes ago. I thought it was the water I drank, even though I cleansed it with some purification powder. I thought the taint of the land remained. But I became sick once more. I remembered what it was like for our neighbor. It was the same with her."
Daod stood, ran his fingers through his dark brown hair and stared up at the ceiling. He took a deep breath and finally said aloud what he refused to admit. Honey, you give birth to that child. We will not arrive until after that. It will be months. No. It will be years for you. I do not understand how it will happen. I do not understand how any of this works. Why we are able to communicate like this. Lilith, my love, you will need to remain strong. We are coming for you. But we are also here now to help the future you get home. Please, remain strong. For me. For our daughter. The stone's magic light dimmed for several minutes, keeping her husband waiting in the dark light of the church. Lilith,
I am here. I understand. I will wait for you. And when you finally show, I will introduce you to our daughter.
Daod smiled and felt a tear run down his cheek. He felt like he had already failed her, forcing her to wait. But at the same time, he was here now. He just needed to find her. The two of them must have moved to another location, somewhere more secure, somewhere more safe. I love you more than anything in this world, more than the stars in heavens above. Stay strong, Lilith.
I will. I love you too, Daod.
Daod and the others had to wait until morning to leave the safety of the church's walls. All night long, the sounds of the beasts could be heard growling and wailing. Occasionally, their gleaming eyes could be seen spying on them through the windows, until one of the humans scared them off with a shout, a wave of their weapons, or the light of a torch or Taurus's spell. Daod had not gotten much rest, so instead of tossing and turning, he began to read his wife's journal. It was a strange feeling, reading words she had not yet written, and also had long ago. She spoke of the pains of the birth, the challenges of raising the child alone in a place like this, the difficulty of growing the seeds she had bought at the neighboring town in the soil of the land, the work it took for a single tomato plant, the stress, having to feed herself and her child off of the meat of the ravens, the few bugs she would find skittering across the ground, the worms that somehow thrived in the dead dirt. She spoke of the creatures outside and how she taught her daughter to defend herself against them. Lundala seemed to struggle at first with the weapons, but in time became quite proficient with each, and before long, she was even better than her mother. The last entry described a sickness that seemed to be gripping Lilith. The details of it sounded horrific. Something unnatural. Something of this land of death. The worried thoughts of his wife were written down, her writing getting worse and worse with each entry. What would happen to their daughter when she passed? Daod flipped through the empty pages after finally tossing the book aside with a heavy sigh. He prayed to the gods to allow him to see his wife again, prayed that the sickness would not take her. He spoke to Lilith again that night, told her what he read, and told her to take care of herself. Sleep would not come that night for Daod. When the sun finally rose, it bathed the interior of the church in a molten red light. With little rest, the group gathered everything they could use from the church and proceeded outside. The morning did not greet them as it would in the real world. There was no warmth of the sun, no song of the birds. It came with nothing. By the blue and green, what a horrid place, Mac complained as he stepped outside. You need not worry. We will put this all behind us. We will be rid of it as soon as we find Lilith, Lef replied. If we find her, and if we can find a way to escape, Mac bleakly stated, before Daod and the others gave him a cold stare. Apologies. Ilya handed out food to the others. Nothing much, nothing grand. Just some bread and chunks of dried meat she had carried with her every day to snack on. Everyone ate in silence, but appreciation as they marched on. Before they left the graveyard, however, Lef stopped in his tracks. Taurus was the only other one to notice as the others continued, and would have still had she not shouted out to the group. What is it? Daod shouted back to them. Lef and Taurus stared at a gravestone in front of them. One that looked new. Very new. It stood out from the others. Daod slowly began to walk towards it. The man felt like he already knew. He did not want to admit it, but when he reached the stone, his worst fear was confirmed. Here lies my mother, Lilith, one who fought hard, one who never gave up hope, one who taught me everything I know. I would not be alive without her. I am sorry I was not as strong as you. I am sorry for what I did. May you rest in peace. With the blue. With the green. The man, the husband, the father, broke down. He fell to his knees. He began to sob. His friends rushed over to comfort him. He did not push them away. His shaking fingers fumbled for the stone in his pocket.
Lilith, please, say something.
Daod, what is wrong? I can hear the pain in your voice. What has happened?
Daod, relieved, but also grieving, told her the truth.
I am sorry. I will not make it. We will not reach you in time. Lilith, you are going to die here. I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
What? But how? What happens to me?
Daod struggled to get the words out. He could not. The stone dropped to the ground below him. Taurus was the one who had to answer Lilith's questions. The mage picked up the stone and spoke.
Lilith, this is Taurus. You grow sick. We are not sure what exactly does it, or when it will happen. But when it does, that will be the beginning of the end.
Daod reached up and grabbed the stone back.
Lilith, I am so sorry I failed you. But you must keep our daughter alive. Please, do everything you can to keep her safe. Make sure you teach her everything she needs to know to survive. Teach her how to fight, how to gather, everything. For me. For us. Tell her how much I love her. Tell her I am coming. Give her that hope.
Daod could hear Lilith's emotions take her over from the other side. From the past, the present, the future, wherever she was. The group had spent nearly an hour at Lilith's grave. They gave Daod all the time he needed. The man allowed himself to grieve, but knew he could not give too much time. He had to go out into this world and find his daughter. But he had not expected that task to be so easy. Daod. Left's voice brought Daod back to the present. Look. The man turned, and there she was. His daughter. She looked just like her mother. Daod stood quickly and wiped away the tears. Lundala had stopped several yards away. Her face was filled with shock and surprise.
Father?
She spoke with the same voice as her mother.
Is that you?
Daod stepped forward. It is me. He smiled and reached out to hug her, but the girl stepped back. I am sorry. I am so happy to see you. I am sorry it took so long. I am so sorry you had to wait so long. Fury suddenly spread across his daughter's face like a disease. Her fist came up in a flash, striking Daod much harder than he would have expected. The man staggered back, nearly falling over his wife's grave.
Where were you?
Lindala screamed out. Her voice echoed across the land.
Where in the hells were you? We waited for so long. She waited for you. And now she...
Lindala stepped back. Tears welled up in her eyes.
She's dead. She is dead. She was all I had in this world. She was all I had.
Daod stepped forward, but kept his distance. He did not want to upset her even more. You have me. I am here for you now. His daughter threw the wilted flowers she carried to the side and laughed.
A little bit late. I prayed. Every night I prayed for you. I wanted to see you coming over that hill like a knight in shining armor. I wanted to see the face of my hero, the one I imagined, the one I saw in my dreams. But after she died, I lost all hope. It all died with her. Everything died with her. I hate you.
The silence between them filled the air with a tension that could be cut through with a sword. I understand how you feel, but you need to understand. I did everything I could to get here in time. I came through the slip. I am here now. We have our chance to leave. We just need to work together. Lindala began to laugh loudly. She covered her face with her hands and fell to her knees.
You really do not understand what I have gone through. The things I have done to find a way out of the garden. I do not need you. I never have. Why would I ever want to give you that satisfaction?
Daod struggled to come up with a reason, but instead, he drew the stone from his pocket. If not for me, for your mother. She wanted the best for you. She did everything for you. Let her tell you herself. Lindala snorted when she laid eyes on the stone.
Nice try. The magic in that stone stopped working for her a long time ago. She used it as a paperweight at one point.
Honey, I am here with our daughter. Will you speak with her? When his wife's voice came through the stone, Lindala's mood completely changed. She stared at the stone in utter bewilderment.
Honey? Are you really there?
Lilith's voice mimicked her daughter's so well. Lindala slowly staggered forward and cautiously took the offered stone from her father.
Mother? Yes.
Lindala began to shake with emotion and confusion. Her lips quivered and she struggled to speak.
Mommy? I am here. I do not understand. How? How is this possible? I saw you. Is that really you? It is. This is no trickery. I do not quite understand how the magic works myself, or the influence of time upon this land. It is such a strange thing to hear your voice. I did not even know I was pregnant until yesterday. I do not even have a name for you yet.
Lindala laughed along with her mom.
Lindala. You name me Lindala. Lindala. What a beautiful name.
For a split moment, the daughter smiled up at her father, and he smiled back.
Lindala, I need you to listen to me. I know your father will not make it in time for me, but he is here for you. I need you to go with him. I need you to survive this place. Take his hand. Let him lead you from this dreaded land.
The smile on Lindala's face faded quickly.
Wait. You know? No. You knew? You knew Father would never make it in time? You always knew? Then why did you fill my head with lies? Why did you give me that hope to cling on to? I wanted us to leave together. If I did it for you. I was not trying to trick you. I was trying to... Do you have any idea what I've done since you died? Do you know what your death did to me? I killed you. The sickness was not the thing that took you. I took your life. I was not as strong as you. I could not stand watching you suffer like that. I could hear my thoughts in my head, the hope I clung onto. It became despair, resentment, rage. I hated you and Father for putting me in this position, leaving me in this place. I thought I was helping you, but in truth, I hated you. One night, it was too much. I sat there and listened to you cough. I could not take it anymore. I did not remember it happening. I just remember standing over you, pulling the blade from your heart. The look on your face. No, I do not want to remember this. Not again. By the black feather, why are you doing this to me again?
Lindala staggered back and threw the stone at her father's feet.
Lindala, honey, please just listen to your mother. Just come with me. We can find a way out of the garden. It need not be your prison any longer.
Lindala stared up into her father's eyes. Hers were filled with such hatred.
I do not need your help. I will find my own way out of here. The black feather will show me the way.
The black feather? What are you talking about?
Lindala began to laugh maniacally. She held her arms out, and before Daod's eyes, great black wings began to spread from behind his daughter's back.
What dark magic is this?
Taurus asked and raised her wand in fear.
That of the great shadow beyond. The one who cannot reach the lands below. The one who will take me to where I belong.
With that final statement, Lindala's wings beat against the ground, and she rose into the air.
Lindala, come back!
Daod shouted after his daughter, who flew towards a distant mountain with great speed. Her laughter trailed behind her as her wings carried her away. Daod and his friends began to run after her when the ground below them began to rumble and churn. They all moved quickly to reach the edges of the graveyard and turned to witness the things that emerged from the soil. They looked human, mostly, but parts of them were replaced with avian features, that of ravens. Black feathers spread from their eye sockets. The bones were that of both human and bird. Some had beaks, others had full wings, some had tails. Their humanoid features lurched and shambled as they began awkwardly shifting towards the group. Their squawks and human screams were shrill.
By the gods, what is this?
Ilya asked as she readied her weapon, causing the others to do the same. Before the group knew it, they were surrounded. The creatures began to leap forward, stopping just beyond the reach of the spear tips and Daod's blade. They circled around the group of humans, testing their reach, occasionally darting close enough to warrant a swing of warning. Then they became bold. One of the skeletal humans jumped forward, causing Daod to stab up through its gut. The creature let out a pained shriek, but continued to try to bite and peck at its prey. Daod wrenched the blade free and slashed horizontally, causing the creature's head to fall away and the body to crumble. More of them began to take a chance. One shot forward and was impaled by Left's spear. Another managed to get in between the human's weapons and drove the tip of its beak into Mac's leg. The man yelled out in pain and stabbed up at his attacker. The winged creature flew back, sending a gust of air forward that reeked of rot.
Step it back!
Taurus shouted and sent out a gout of white flame from the tip of her wand, which coated a large portion of the monsters. The horrific wails of the burning creatures were terrible as they melted before Taurus's eyes. "We need to run! There are too many of them!" Daod finished slaying another beast, and the group turned to follow Landala's flight path. As they began to leave the graveyard, two of the creatures managed to pull the wounded Mac away from the group and dragged him further into the swarm of undead.
No! Mac!
Left yelled out and tried to reach out for his friend, but received a sharp peck from one of the creature's beaks before Mac was consumed by the monsters. His screams abruptly ended, and squirts of blood shot into the air from between the frenzy of skeletons. Daod cursed under his breath as he cut down two more creatures that leapt for him. "We must keep moving! Head for that tunnel ahead!" The group continued, fighting the whole way there. They used the skeletal remains of a giant serpent as temporary cover as they ran, jabbing their weapons in between the ribs of the great snake at the undead ravens trying to leap inside. As they left the serpentine sanctuary, they relied on Taurus's spells to keep the rest of the creatures at bay until they reached the tunnel. Another of the mage's spells sealed the entrance with a shimmering blue light, which gave everyone a moment to catch their breath. They watched the creatures on the other side bash their beaks and throw their broken bodies against the magical wall in an attempt to get through. They never stopped.
"We must continue before the spell wall falls,"
Taurus told the others and turned, staring into the deep dark of the tunnel.
He is dead. He is really dead.
Lef muttered to himself as they continued to walk. The others remained silent, dealing with the events in their own way. Daod felt the guilt on his shoulders. Even if he did not ask them to come, he still felt the loss of his friend. He had not wanted this outcome. As he opened his mouth to speak, a deep, rumbling groan came from deeper in the tunnel they walked, causing the group to stop in their tracks. "What in the hells was that?" Kaju asked, slowly turning to the rest. The fear in his eyes reflected in everyone else's. The sound of some great beast that lay ahead in the darkness rolled up and past them again. Taurus stepped forward and sent her light down into the tunnel as far as the spell would allow her to reach.
"Nothing there yet."
They had to make a choice. Either continue and deal with whatever was ahead, or go back the way they came. and fight the bird-like creatures. In the end, they chose the former and began to move deeper in. Eventually, another path began to lead up, so the group took that, but as they did so, the sound of something shifting along the ground next to them caused the mage to turn her light down the other path. The light of the spell exposed the monster hiding in the shadows, a giant severed head, rotting in the dark, its teeth yellow, its eyes cloudy and white. The black tongue fell from its putrid mouth and lolled. It almost seemed to try and reach for the group as it shifted itself through the enclosed space after them. "Run!" Daod yelled and began to move quickly up the incline. They could hear the monster's roar behind them, but gave no pause or glance back to see its progress. They simply ran and ran until their tired legs almost collapsed from under them, until, "There is a light ahead!" The group reached a metal gate and tried to open it, but the old rusted lock held true. Daod tried to ram it open with no success. He tried to pry it open with his sword, but that did not work. Ilya's scream of fear caused everyone to jump. "It is right behind us!" She screamed and fired an arrow into the monster's milky eye, causing it to let out a groan. Taurus hurriedly readied a spell and pointed it at the door's lock, just as the head released a deep belch that filled the air with a putrid yellow gas. They barely managed to get the door open and shut behind them when the gas reached the gate, which caused the metal to sizzle and weaken, but still not enough for the head to get through. It let out a frustrated wail and watched the group continue beyond its reach. After taking a quick breather, Daod and the others looked around and found themselves within the ruins of what could only be a castle. This place was filled with a dark aura, one of witchcraft. Totems were scattered about in various positions within the stone walls of this place. Ones made of bleached and blackened wood. Bones of animals and humans. Black feathers and wings covered each and every one of them. And in the center of it all was Landala, on her knees, praying to the biggest shrine of all. A large black feather, at least 12 feet tall, tied to a stone obelisk. Runes of unknown origin were carved into the stone surface, and next to the shrine was a great bronze tree, even taller than the feather. On its surface were even more carvings, but unlike the obelisk, these were images of creatures and monstrous beasts. There was a crimson ribbon nailed to the surface bark, and hanging from the end of it was a silver chime. The sound of it was the only pleasant thing Daod had noticed in the whole of this place.
Landala, please, do not run again. I just want to help.
There was no immediate response from his daughter, yet the father still hesitated. He had sheathed his sword and taken a couple of steps forward.
Do you know what this tree is?
She spoke up, breaking the long silence.
It is the tree of knowledge. It is how I know about the world beyond this one. Everything Mother taught me as a child is nothing compared to what I've read in this book.
Landala closed a book in front of her, one with a white cover and gold edges. She placed the book into a hole in the tree and turned to face them.
Adam's journal. It is a collection of everything that has happened everywhere, and everything that will happen. It has helped me learn my purpose. But it is not mine. It belongs to everyone. The tree, you see, it moves. through time and space. It never stays in one spot for too long. That is why I tied a magical chime to it, so I know when it returns to this realm, so I can find it again. This book, it is what will give me my means of escape. It spoke of the great winged beast beyond the clouds. You must have seen its shadow and wings, watched the black feathers it drops twirl through the air until they reach the ground. The beast. It cannot enter the realm yet, but I have found a way. Through sacrifice and much death. I have made it stronger. I have raised an undead army for it, a collection of human and raven remains. Rakuri, they are called. When the time is ready, when it is strong enough, the black feather will descend from the sky and take me away with it. We will return to the real world, and we will destroy everything. All of it, except one small patch of blue and green land. Just for me. My reward. My own little world, just for me. That is the deal I have made with it.
Daod slowly shook his head. You would destroy everything? Everything you came from? Why? But you could just leave with me right now. Why would you do this? Why?
Why? You really ask why? What a foolish question, Father. And you say the world I came from? I did not come from that world. I come from this one. I was born here. Born in the shadow of the raven. The dead and decayed, my only friends. I lost patience with you a long time ago. I got tired of waiting. I found my own way out. Please, Landala, listen to your father. Listen to your mother. We only want what is best for you. You can begin again in a new world. You need not go down this path of death and destruction.
Lilith's voice came through the stone, surprising both Daod and Landala that she was listening. Her daughter began laughing.
I almost gave in to that moment when I heard your voice again. I felt like a little girl with hope all over again. You made a promise, and here he is. After all this time, my father.
Landala displayed her hands in front of her as if showing off something to those around her.
You know, you do not look like how I pictured you would. You look simple. No knight. No hero. Just a simple man.
Landala, you can hate me all you want, but just believe in me this once. I can bring you home. One filled with love, where the sun shines every day. You will feel the embrace of the blue and green. Landala scoffed at that.
Daod!
Lilith's concerned voice came through the stone again.
I think the magic of the stone is dying. The glow is fading. Your voices are harder to hear.
Daod lifted the stone up to his mouth. Do not worry. I promise. I will bring our daughter home. Even if I must drag her kicking and screaming, I promise. I will bring her back.
I know you will. I love you, Daod.
The magic of the stone died before Daod's response could reach Lilith. But the man spoke the words anyways. When the glow faded entirely, the man tossed the stone aside and faced his daughter. "Lindala, please, just come home with me. Your wait is over. You need not stay in this place any longer." Daod reached out his hand to his daughter, and for a moment, he thought she may take it. But instead, her face began to fill with fury.
Do you know how long I waited? Do you know how long she waited for you? It was all for nothing. And the whole time, she knew. Yet she continued to give me false hope that we would leave together and be a family.
Suddenly, a deep and alien language whispered from the black-feathered shrine. It came down again, down from the sky above, mimicking the sound of rolling thunder laced with the unknown tongue. Lindala tried to cover her ears for a moment, but the voice seemed to take hold of her, causing the woman to slowly sway in place and smile up into the sky. Her voice joined in with the speech in unison. Daod panicked at the sight. "Lindala, honey, what's happening?" He stepped forward and took a hold of her. The man wrapped her in an embrace. "Do not listen to that thing. Do not listen to its poisoned words. Listen to me, Lindala. Listen to your father. Think of your mother. Think of me. Think of our family. Please, fight this." For a moment, Lilith hugged her father back. But the influence of the creature above the clouds of black was too much.
Family? I have a new family now. One that loves me.
Daod stepped away and stared into the eyes of his daughter. Eyes now black as the feather behind her. A moment passed before she shook her head, and the black in her eyes slowly faded. She groaned and swayed in place, and slowly began to chuckle.
I am so lost. It has always been so confusing. The information is conflicting. The black feather speaks to me. The book tells me things. The information inside changes. It says one thing, then another. I do not know what is real. The black feather told me where to find the tree. The book speaks of an end and a beginning, of a cycle, one that needs to happen to save everyone. The black feather tells me to ignore what I see, to listen only to it. It tells me to follow the path under the shadow of the raven. Why would it show me the tree if it wishes for me to ignore the contents of the book's pages, and then tell me to keep reading? I do not understand. I do not understand. It does not want me to read my story. It wants me to read its story, to follow it. It wants me to tell it what the book says, how to escape. It lets me read, and it doesn't let me read. Maybe I'm wrong about all of this. Maybe the book is wrong. Maybe it will just lead me to my end. Or a new beginning. I'm starting to think there's only one real way to escape this place. And it is death. Father, be the hero I need. Free me, Father, and kill your own daughter!
Lindala drew her mother's blade from her side and stepped forward with a smile on her face. Lef, Ilya, and Kaju drew theirs as well. "Do not harm her. Do no harm to my daughter," Daod pleaded with his friends, who turned and gave him a worried look.
"Then what do we do?"
Lef asked. Daod turned to face Taurus. "Do you know any spells that can incapacitate her?" Taurus waved her hands in front of her, and everyone's weapons were coated with a dim amber light.
"All you need is to strike her with your weapons. It will cause her to fall into a slumber until we can figure out what to do next."
This was much easier said than done, however, for when Lef lunged forward with a spear, Lindala simply stepped out of the way and pushed the spear tip aside with her blade. Lef tried again, and she leaned all the way back, almost bending in half, and kicked her leg into the air, her foot catching Lef under the chin. The man staggered back for a moment, and Lindala rushed forward, plunging her blade through the bottom of his chin and out through the top of his head. She smiled at the last four standing and whipped her weapon free. Lef's body fell to the ground with a thud. "Lef!" Daod yelled and sprang forward. Lindala began to chuckle and smiled a wicked smile. Her eyes were once again consumed with the black feather's influence.
"Ooh, is it your turn? Mother told me you taught her, and she was good. But I am better, so I must be better than the one that trained her!"
His daughter shot forward and their blades collided and held there. She pushed Daod back and struck 4 more times, each blow blocked by her father, but she was quicker. Her blade slashed across his knee and face, forcing her father off balance. A well-placed kick launched him back, which gave Ilya and Kaju a chance to step in. The two of them managed to push her all the way back against the Tree of Knowledge before she managed to bring Kaju down with a slash across the throat. Ilya began to shuffle her feet back in fear and tried to keep her distance.
"Do something!"
She begged and fired another arrow at Lindala, which the winged woman knocked out of the air. Daod frantically looked at Taurus. "You have that memory spell still?" he asked the mage, who quickly nodded. "Use it!" Daod stepped forward and began to force Lindala back again as Taurus prepared the spell. Daod dodged a horizontal slash from his daughter by ducking, placed a hand on her stomach, and pushed her back, hard enough that she tripped over Lef's body, but quickly rolled to her feet and blocked her father's strike that he tried to bring down on her. The metal-on-metal strike echoed throughout the castle.
"You are good, but I am better."
Lindala rose and struck multiple times, advancing her attack.
"Tell me, are you proud of me? Are you proud to see how far I've come? Are you proud of me?"
One of Ilya's arrows almost struck Lindala, but she pulled her head back just in time. She kicked her father away, and before Ilya could knock another arrow, threw her sword across the room, which struck Ilya in the chest. Lindala launched herself into the air, and with a great beat from her wings, landed in front of the dying woman. Lindala wrenched her blade free and stepped away from the collapsing body. "Taurus, hurry!" Lindala panicked when she saw the mage finish her spell.
"It is ready!"
Taurus yelled to Daod, but did not notice Lindala coming down from the air above and slid the tip of the sword into the mage's chest. Taurus coughed up blood and groaned. Her fingers loosened their grip on the wand, and it dropped to the ground. Daod rushed forward and slid under his daughter's attempted killing blow from her sword, painted red with his friend's blood. He grasped the wand with his free hand, spun around, and aimed it at his daughter as she thrust her sword forward.
Wait. What? What happened? Where am I? What is this place? Who am I? Who is that?
The woman thought to herself. She stared at the man in front of her. She had never seen him before. Had she? No. She would have remembered. Would she? Why was he bleeding? She looked down and saw that he had been stabbed, and she was holding the blade.
Why did I do that?
She slowly pulled the blade away from the man. He fell to his knees.
Lilith, I am so sorry. Forgive me. I cannot save her.
The man fell over. The woman felt nothing in that moment. And she never would. Her memory was still trying to make sense of what had happened. She looked around at everything. There were many other dead people around her, and strange objects made of wood, bones, and feathers.
Strange. So strange.
She turned to leave when she heard a whisper coming from behind her. The quiet voice almost seemed to be coming from a great black feather from the sky above. The tendrils of the unknown tongue tried to worm its way into her mind. But the memory it tried to cling onto was not there. There was no foundation of hatred to build onto. No promise made could be remembered. There was nothing left to infect. The voice of the black feather instead turned to anger. All that work, all that time, it was all for nothing. A great thunderclap rolled across the sky and echoed the anger of the old one, forever trapped above the clouds, never to escape. The next couple of days, the woman staggered throughout the dead garden, stumbling, weak, searching for something she did not know. Her mind had already taken most of the memories of that moment in the castle. She forgot the dead people, the dying man, the shrine, the tree, the book, the thing in the sky. Its voice that still tried to speak to her, the creatures that chased her, even the land itself. It was all a blur. She stumbled toward a sudden and gray light when it appeared. She went through it. The air. The air was so sweet. The sounds of the birds, the bubbling stream below her. The woman cupped the pure water in her hands and drank her fill. She began to laugh. "Are you okay?" came a voice from behind her. She spun around and saw a man approaching from the tree line. A handsome man. He had short, dark brown hair and icy blue eyes. He reminded her of someone she knew. She thought. Maybe not. He had his hand on a weapon, and his eyes scanned the area around them. "Do you require assistance?"
I do not know. I am hungry,"
the woman replied. The man handed over a bright and shiny red apple that she quickly gobbled down. She smiled.
"Thank you. Very much."
He smiled back. "It is a small thing. No thanks are needed. Do you require healing? There is a healer in the neighboring village. I can take you there." There was something about him. Something she trusted.
I think I may need some healing, yes. A little bit.
The man held out his hand. "May I?" She smiled brighter and took his hand, stumbling slightly as she rose. "Whoa. You are okay. You will be okay. I will see to it." He smiled back and stared deep into her crimson-colored eyes. He had never seen eyes like hers before. They were absolutely enchanting. They caught him off guard. My name is Daod. What is yours?
My name?
The woman thought for a moment. There was one she heard recently. Somewhere. That had to be it. That had to be her name.
Lilith. My name is Lilith.
Hey everyone, this is Lucas, the creator of Adam's Lost Journal. Just wanted to say thank you guys so much for sticking around and listening to this series. It means a lot to me, and there's a lot to go. There's a lot more to go, but I am going to be taking a little bit of a break because it takes a lot of work. So probably like a 2 or 3 month break, and then I'll get right back into season 2, which that one will be very fun. It'll be a little darker than the first season. There's only going to be about 3 standalone episodes and pretty big seasonal story. There'll be about 4 of those, so that'll be cool. Something brand new, something evil, something creepy, and I think people are going to enjoy that. Sorry for episode 10 taking so long to get out. I was having some issues. There was the holidays too. Like I was having some issues with the computer, and then I had a bunch of family over and all this stuff going on, and also I just got lazy. Sometimes I get lazy and I don't want to work on something, so it happens. But I really do appreciate everybody for listening and sticking around, and I really hope you enjoy season 2 when it comes out. I might do something in between season 1 and 2, like maybe just some kind of very small thing that I'll add to the channel, like the lore or something, but it would be very small because I don't want to do too much. I probably will write the first couple episodes of season 2 just while to have something in my back pocket ahead of time. So it makes the editing and everything much easier. So yeah, I thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you when season 2 happens.